Assalamu alaikum. Uh, Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Algeria 2.0 event in its ninth edition. Uh, we will talk in this presentation about an introduction to cybersecurity and ethical hacking. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Omar Akham, and I am a Linux and cybersecurity consultant and trainer. I work at my own company called MD5. I have a master degree in artificial intelligence from USTHB, and I am a Linux and free and open source software enthusiast. There are more and more people who are working remotely because of the coronavirus pandemic, and they are using remote tools to access to their other workmates and company data. And hackers are working 24/7 to find vulnerabilities to try to access to these systems. So for the outline of this presentation, we will start by an introduction to the field. We will talk about cyber threats. We are talking exactly about the type of threats and the type of hackers. And we will finish by the third point, which is cybersecurity and ethical hacking. Let's start by the introduction. Actually, everything is digital, and what it isn't will be soon. And our country has started a process of digitalization of everything, and they have crossed a big step on it. We all have access to a computer, a tablet, or phone for our personal use, but also for our professional use. And so many tools essential in our digital life, and which today host our personal and critical data. The security of these tools is up to everyone. It's to us to keep these tools secured. And the career growth of and a career of growth and innovation, the digital world in which we operate is also and unfortunately deeply vulnerable to unprecedented risks. And these risks target all users. There is no discrimination. And by understanding these risks that we all have to face to see solutions in the long term. And in this field, we have two important words. We can talk about security and about safety. Security is the act of preventing accidents which are involuntary. I can give you examples like fires, industrial accidents, natural disasters, etc. They are not provoked by voluntary actions. And we have a safety, which is the act of preventing anything that is voluntary. I can give you examples like incivility acts, malicious acts, thefts, assaults, terrorist acts, etc. And when these voluntary or involuntary acts happens in cyberspace, we are talking about cyber security and cyber safety. But we need to define what is cyberspace. So, cyberspace is a communication space formed by the global interconnection of automated digital data processing equipments like computers, routers, switches, printers, etc. Let's talk now about the cyber threats. Cyber threats or cybersecurity threat is a malicious act that seeks to damage data, steal data, or disrupt digital life in general. Cyber threats include computer viruses, data breaches, denial of service attacks, and other attack vectors. We'll see in the next slides these kind of threats in more details. And cyber threats also refer to the possibility of successful cyber attack that aims to gain unauthorized access, damage, disrupt, or steal an information technology asset, computer network, intellectual property, or any form of sensitive data. Cyber threats can come from within an organization by trusted users. In general, they are an insider users. It's an internal attacks and or from remote locations by unknown parties or unknown hackers. The threats can be divided into threefold. The first kind is the cybercrime. It includes single actors or groups that are targeting systems for financial gain or to cause disruption. We have also cyber attack. They often involve political motivated information gathering. And the third kind is the cyber terrorism, which is intended to undermine electronic systems to cause panic or fear. But how do malicious actors gain control of computer systems? What are their techniques? What are the tools they use to access to the information systems? Let's discover it in the next slide. The first technique is the hacking technique. They use malware like viruses, worms, Trojan horse, spywares, and ransomware. The second technique is the phishing. Phishing is stealing identities or confidential information like access codes, bank details by subterfuge. An authentication system is simulated by the attacker who then tries to convince users to use and share confidential information as if it were a legitimate system. They also use spamming. If we define spam is any email unsolicited by the recipient. And the spam is a mail often sent simultaneously to a very large number of email addresses. Most wanted products in spams are pornographic services, market speculation, drugs, financial credits, etc. Another kind of attack, we have the denial of service, DOS, and the distributed denial of service attacks. And a DOS attack is the action of having the effect of preventing or severely limiting the ability of system to provide the expected service. It can also reflect a poor sizing of the service, so it was problem in the configuration or the dimensioning of it, the sizing or scaling. So it was enabled to provide the answer to strong demand. So if the action is launched from several sources, we are talking about distributed denial of service or a DDoS. I can give you an example of a phishing attack which is almost impossible to detect. If I give you these two links, you can see that approximately there is no difference between these two links. It's impossible to detect the differences between them like that. So, where is the phishing attack? You have to know that one of these two links will send you to a fake website. So how can I know what is the fake website? If we use if we copy and paste these two links into a text editor, let me open a text editor. Sorry. So we have the first link and the second link, and you can see the difference between the two links is the L. In the first link is the correct character, but in the second link, this is a fake or Unicode character. And if we visit this website in a web browser, you can see that we are not on the Apple website, even if it shows that this website is secure, the connection is secure by Let's Encrypt, but we are on a fake website. This type of attack is called a phishing attack, and it's impossible to detect. There are some companies software that were victims of hacking between 2020 and 2021, and they are remote working tools like the Zoom software, the Microsoft Teams, the Microsoft Exchange Server 2019, iPhone, DigitalOcean, which is a hosting provider. All of these companies were victims of hacking and big vulnerabilities. Now that we have seen the techniques used by the hackers, let's get discover the types of hackers. We need to know our enemies so we can protect from them. There are three kind of hackers. We have the black hat, the gray hat, and the white hat. The black hackers are could be state or intelligence services. Their goals is getting information about other countries, spying, counterterrorism or criminal. Their capacities, they have great financial capacity because they are financed by state or intelligence services, and they focus on profit and less on costs. Their process, they do acquisition of expertise and training, and their attacks are sustained and unsuspected. The second kind of black hat, we have the cyber criminal, which are organized. Their goals is money. Their capacities, they are established in the business world. They save money over the long term, and the cost-benefit ratio is under control. Their process, they use existing groups of specialists organized spontaneously, and they abuse of corruption. The third kind of black hackers, we find the script kiddies. They are newbies in the hacking. Their goal is prestige. They have a few resources and knowledge. They learn their techniques from tutorials on the internet, from YouTube and other tutorials. And the process they use is because of their few resource knowledge, they are tool users. They do a copy paste from tutorials, and if we change any small configuration, they won't be able to execute their attacks. And we have the hacktivist, the fourth kind of hackers. Their goal is visibility. They do a lot of damage and they abuse of vulnerabilities on systems they try to attack. They have little financial investment and they have a very large sphere of influence. And their process of attack, they are highly motivated amateurs and specialists, and they have rapid, dynamic, and unpredictable development. Maybe the most known group of hacktivists is Anonymous. And the last type of hackers, we find the cyber terrorist, which has as goals damage. They do a lot of damage and they want a lot of visibility, and they do a manipulation and influence policy and a lot of terror, unfortunately. They have a good financial capacity and used for physical and logical attacks. In their process of attack, they do acquisition of expertise and training on the black market. They use the dark web, and they do a lot of physical and logical attacks. And now we have we talked about black hackers. There is also white hackers, or can call them ethical hackers. Before talking about them, because they are kind of hackers that are using the same techniques as the black hackers, but there is a difference between them. But before talking about them, we need to talk about cybersecurity field. So cybersecurity, the practice of defending computers, servers, mobile devices, electronic systems, networks, and data from malicious attacks from black hackers. It's also known as information technology security or electronic information security. The term applies in a variety of contexts, from business to mobile computing, and to be divided into a few common categories. Let's discover the categories of cybersecurity. We will talk about 6 categories. We have the network security, which is a practice of securing computer network from intruders, whether targeted attackers or opportunistic malware. We have the application security, which focuses on keeping software and devices free of threats by doing, for example, updates and security patches. A compromised application could provide access to the data it's designed to protect. Successful security begins in the design state, well before program or device is deployed. And we have also information security, which protects the integrity and the privacy of the data, both in storage, when we store the data, and when it transits over the network or the internet. The fourth category of cybersecurity is the operational security. It includes the process and decisions for handling and protecting data assets, the permissions users have when accessing a network, and the procedures that determine how and where data may be stored or shared. We have the disaster recovery and business continuity, which define how an organization responds to a cybersecurity incident or any event that causes the loss of operations or data. We need to get the business back as soon as possible, and we need to have a disaster recovery plan which help us execute this. And the last one, and for me this is the most important category of cybersecurity, is the end user education. Anyone in a company or in his home can accidentally introduce a virus to an otherwise secure system by failing to follow good security practice. We need to educate the user. He needs to apply the security practices of the company, because if he doesn't follow it, it can do some damage, maybe involuntary. But when the disaster happens, there is a big threat with it. Now, for the cybersecurity field, we can distinguish two type of teams. We have the blue team, which apply the cybersecurity plans, and we have the red team, who, who are who is a team of hackers who do the penetration testing and searching for the vulnerabilities. And this kind of hackers in the red team are called the ethical hackers. They are hackers. They use the hackers techniques, but the difference between a black hacker and the white hacker or the ethical hacker is that the ethical hacker is authorized to do penetration testing, to attack the system, to get unauthorized access to the system. This is legal. This is the only difference between ethical hacker, white hacker, and the black hacker. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and welcome to your questions. I will be happy to answer them. You can ask questions in any language. You can ask in Arabic, in French, or in English. There is no problem. Thank you.